One. Well, it's brutal here, ladies and gentlemen. As Packer fans, we lose the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs, but it was a good season for the Packers. But we move on to the offseason. But let's get to some injury here, folks.
This is Tom Grossi, and you're watching the PackReacts podcast.
Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to PackReacts. I'm your co-host, Jim Hadley, along with our other co-host, Mike Ariano. And of course, we have our guest that we like to have on all the time, John. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Happy off season.
Thanks for coming on, John. So I'm running some technical difficulties. Apparently, we have some issues here. So run it without me.
All right. So while we figure out the technical issues there, folks, but let's move on here. Packers lose to the Eagles in this postseason first round, where the Packers should have gotten the 6th seed and not played Philly the first round. But it was a battle, I would say, for a good 5 minutes in that game, where the Packers had a shot to come back and miscued on turnovers. Every Packers player was getting hurt in this game. It was brutal. Then there was the fan altercation too that happened off the field with Packer and Eagle fan. Just brutal. It just was brutal for that game, and it's just unfortunate that the Packers season comes to an end early. It really is.
I'm seeing the stream, by the way. We're good.
Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Cool.
Okay.
Look, Jeremy, I'll take it from there.
Okay.
Very disappointing. Very disappointing. Not surprising.
Not surprising. I agree.
Definitely disappointing. I'm sure we'll talk about this later on, the virality of kind of the Eagles fans versus being an away fan in the Lincoln Financial Field, correct?
Yep.
But obviously, Jeremy's pretty close to Lincoln Financial Field.
Yep.
John and I are in, New York City, so not super close. I mean, not super far away either.
No.
So you would think we'd be at the game, and of course we didn't. Jeremy, I think, didn't go to the game because he's a little bit scared of being berated. Like maybe
If it was MetLife, I would have gone.
Sorry.
If it was MetLife and they were playing the Giants in the playoffs, I would have gone.
Oh yeah, me too.
I would have gone.
Just for the record, I did not go. Did not go, right? Because of the fans or the environment. I would have dealt with it. It would have been fine. I was in Chicago by myself this year for the tipped field goal. And I did not have any altercations with anybody. I kept my head down. I cheered, but didn't, there were no altercations. Anyway, I was not afraid of the Philly fans. The reason why I didn't go was I didn't think that this was going to be a good, a good result here. And, I was right, not to be negative, but, it costs money to go to a game. Plus, they don't have to deal with these people, which I really wanted in a loss. If I thought the Packers had a legitimate chance to win this game, I would have been there. But unfortunately, I really didn't think they did, and I was proven right, unfortunately. I know we'll go into the game later. I'll give John a chance to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Every year with Aaron Rodgers, and even last year with Jordan Love, you felt like they had a chance to win every game. And this year, going into the Eagles, it felt different than past playoffs had. We were obviously all rooting as much as we normally do, but it always felt like there's no chance they're playing in the divisional round. And I think the reason that happened is because every single game against a good team this year, they came out flat, they played poorly, they got beat. All 5 times. And that goes back to the coach, it goes back to the guys who are supposed to be leaders in the locker room. And that's kind of why it felt exciting, because it's always exciting to be in the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen, but also a bit hopeless. And it sucks because it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you lose to a team that played really badly. And I don't think the Eagles played horrendous, but they played a pretty crappy game. which you could have guessed because they benched people week 18. Hurts missed week 17 as well with his concussion.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I think that it's got to get back to the coach. It's got to get back to, like I said, the leaders on the team. You got to be able to compete against good teams, and I'd feel so much better if they were just able to compete. But to get rolled by a team that played pretty terribly themselves is what means, like, overall it was a disappointing season. Like, you for better or worse, you judge the season by how it finishes.
Mhm.
And if you had said after week 16, we would have said, well, this is a fun season, it's going well, excited, happy. But based on how the last 2 weeks of the regular season went, and then the Eagles came, overall you got to label it as a disappointing season.
Mhm.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to mention, it seems like the Packers kind of tendency to have, but they started the game out with a turnover, got us on a bad start. Of course, I kind of beg to differ with the turnover a little bit. Obviously,
Mhm.
uh, we, recovered it and was down by contact, but I knew they weren't going to overturn it. It was just too pivotal of a play at that period of time to overturn it when um, it is kind of a bang bang play. You don't really see um, turnovers uh, overturned when it's a pile situation. It's kind of whoever comes out of the pile. I thought there was conclusive evidence because you see him have the ball on top and before the pile
Agreed.
forms, and then
Yep.
he kind of falls on top of him. But I knew they weren't going to overturn it. I was kind of right. Although I think they probably should have. It's just not really precedent to overturning a call like that. But here's my problem. I know John might beg to differ. That was a penalty. I mean, that was clear lowering the head to hit a guy. Yeah, I
Yep.
know he kind of came down, but as a what do you call it? A returner, you're bracing for impact there, which means you're going to lower your head because you're bracing for impact. And I think the onus in the NFL has made this very clear with what they've done to the kickoff is that the kickoff's there to protect the returner. And I think you got to call the penalty on that. Any helmet-to-helmet contact, especially when the guy puts his head down and kind of launches himself, has to be called. And that was very disappointing that they didn't call that. And then they even had a chance to kind of make up for it by making an unprecedented overturn. Agree. I mean, I've never really seen a call like that overturned, but they had a
Mhm.
chance to make up for it and didn't do it. So it is disappointing that the game started like that. We don't really know what would have happened if the Packers got the ball first, went down, scored. Like you said, Philadelphia really didn't have a good game. So it is a little bit unfortunate that's the way the game started. But the Packers just came out completely flat this game.
Yep.
The way and again, I'm not trying to be negative, but the way I explained this game to people and my dad when I was watching it was a slow death. I mean, it just never
It was a
seemed like
slow
they were.
death.
Yeah, it just never seemed like they were really in it, and they were never really out of it. But it was one of those things where, like, I think we were just suffering the whole game. It's like you're
That's how it
bleeding
felt.
out. Yeah, you like you ever play Fortnite and like you go down, right? And then everyone else is like running around you. Like, I'm not gonna, what do you call it?
Great
Uh,
reference there.
yeah, I'm not gonna revive you. Like if you're playing with random people and they just want to mess around with you, like you're just bleeding out, but you're never gonna get revived because they just don't want to do it. So that's kind of what happened here. The Packers, the Eagles didn't want to put us out of our misery, but we were never gonna catch up to them either. So yeah, this is just a candid Packers playoff game where we're just never really gonna win, and it's unfortunate because look, you have the whole season. This wasn't our best season. We had a pretty good record up until the end where we kind of fell off the horse a little bit,
Yep.
and it's unfortunate because I did think that the Packers were going to hit their stride at the right time. We were getting healthy at the right time. We had Josh Jacobs really hitting his mark right around the, holiday season, Thanksgiving to Christmas. That kind of time period is when we're hitting our sweet spot. I think right after the Seattle game, right? And then with the Vikings and then the Bears, really just threw us off course and, allowed the Commanders to leapfrog us.
Yep.
And you can see the Commanders are still alive and we're not. So I'm not saying we would have beat the Buccaneers, but we definitely would have had a better chance to beat the Buccaneers and the Eagles But honestly, even if we beat the Buccaneers, we would have lost to the Lions or lost to one of the other teams. So look, this was not a Super Bowl team. I think we kind of knew that when we couldn't beat the Eagles, Vikings twice, or the Lions twice, or even the Bears once. So I don't think we should be too sad they lost that game. But it is more of a look. This team isn't as good as we thought they were. Some points in that season, and there's reasons why, which we'll get into. But you know, it's not a lost cause either. I think we need to really retool this offseason. We have a lot of cap space,
Yep.
and I think that we can get a few good pieces. I think we need a receiver. I think we need a veteran receiver. I really do.
Yeah, we do.
Every Packers fan wants a better receiver. A good one, not a cheap Sammy Watkins. We don't want that.
No, yeah, I think we need a top level. What do you call it? Star receiver, because
There's
we have
not
a lot of
many
good
out
young
there.
pieces. Apparently, T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't think with T. Higgins.
You've seen how Goot works. Some other team's gonna pay more than Goot will for T.
We have like $50 million of cap space, though.
I'd rather use it on defense and draft a receiver or get a cheaper one.
But here's the thing with drafting a receiver. I'm all for that, but the thing is we need somebody that's going to hit the ground running next year. Because, look, sorry, I'm kind of commandeering this episode right now, but one thing I wanted to get at, right? Jaden Reed, my guy Jaden Reed, very disappointed with the way he finished this season. I got to say.
I agree.
I don't know if it's on him or if it was on Jordan Love not really targeting him, because his targets went way down towards the end of the season. But the guy ended with 809. I have his stat news up. 857 yards. Over the past few games, 48-6, 76, 34-0, 24, 26, 23. And his last time he had a 100-yard reception game was the first time we played Detroit. We had 113 yards. So, I don't know. I was really excited about Jaden Reed going into the season, and something happened. And I don't have less confidence in Jaden Reed. I still think he's a great player. But something happened where maybe he lost Love's confidence. Maybe something happened. I don't know. But that really affected this team, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree with your take. Just to go back to the Philly game real quick, yes, I agree that there should have been a helmet-to-helmet flag call there. I thought that we could recover the ball, even though it was inclusive. I still think it was.
I thought it was pretty conclusive.
I think it was clear. Although Brad Allen is one of the worst refs in the NFL, is egregious, so you have to deal with him. So that was an annoying cause there. And then, I mean, I guess it didn't really matter at the end of the game, but no pass interference call there. When he throws the interception, that was clear PI, and I don't understand how that doesn't get called. If how do you not throw a flag for that? That was one of my big annoyances with those two. But then to go back to Mike's point of where he referenced Fortnite, which is a good reference. I like to reference our channel that we've always referenced is Stuck in the River. And Mike, that game, it was we were stuck in the middle of the river. At that point, you're trying to go up the river. That's if you're trying to win. It's just much easier for us going down the river. Just get it out of the way because, A, we knew this was not going to be a Super Bowl team heading into the playoffs. We just knew that. Now, earlier, early season, yeah, maybe if they kept it going. But the problem was you couldn't beat big teams. You got swept by Philly. You got swept by Minnesota. You got swept by Detroit. Lost to the Chicago one time, even though that really didn't matter that much. But still, I think the big thing with this team is confidence. You can see what happens when this team has a lot of confidence. They do well. When they don't have confidence, it doesn't do great. So that's the big thing that has got to get taken care of. And definitely it was interesting to see some locker room presence, like Tucker Kraft, to hear his voice of he's one of those guys who wants to step up in the locker room. Well, Fleur wants Jordan Love to step up a little bit of his leadership a little bit. We have a lot of leaders, but it's all coming together, I feel and some got to step up and some just got to get out of there. And we'll definitely talk about that as we get into it. But then to the receiver point, I mean, Goody talked about it today in his press conference where if I pull up the exact quote he said about receivers, he said, that's pass rush. Where was it? Veteran. He would love to get a veteran if it's the right idea. but it's not necessary. Like he said, like you don't need a number one wide receiver, and you've seen how that pans out in the NFL playoffs. Is what his big take about it was today. That was one of his big things, but he doesn't need to. He still believes in the group. He still believes in Watson, Reed, Dobbs. He believes in the core that we have. I mean, I agree to some of that. Like definitely, you could find like some guys step up there, but you need a veteran guy presence. Now, T. Higgins would be the dream for us, but I don't think it's going to happen. Now, if I had to guess, if you really want to spend money on free agency, spend on a guy like maybe Chris Godwin, or spend it on like a veteran guy that can actually make a difference. I mean, that's what I was saying on offensively, but I'm more focused on like defense. If anything, like they need to fix it away because you got to deal with Jair's contract. You got to deal with the CVs. You got to figure out what you're going to address there. The pass rush. We just fired our defensive line coach about almost an hour ago. Like that's been a big thing to watch out for. So,
should have kept Preston Smith.
I don't know if Preston Smith would have made a much bigger difference there, John. He didn't even play in the Steelers game. He was a inactive, healthy scratch.
Really?
Yeah.
I think getting rid of him next year was a good idea.
Yeah, I was mostly joking.
Yeah. So that's the big thing is what the Packers got to address is the pass rush. I mean, there's already even like some guys getting interviews, like Jeff Hafley. He got requested an interview for the Jets job. I don't think it's going to happen. Our passing game coordinator for the defense, Derek Kingsley, he just completed an interview with the Atlanta Falcons for the defensive coordinator position. The front office for the Packers, John Eric Sullivan, just did his interview for the Tennessee Titans. So I hope it doesn't happen. And then, of course, Tom Clements, he retires as the quarterback coach. He worked with Favre, he worked with Rodgers, and worked with Jordan Love. He did have Kyler Murray when he was in Arizona in the COVID season. So the man was a guru, and it's going to be a shame to see him leave this team.
Yeah, and I think the wide receiver conversation, it's like I have nothing against the guys we have. It's really just because of the injuries. You're going to lose Christian Watson for the majority of the regular season. When he comes back, you don't know you don't know how he's going to be.
Yeah.
Dobbs now has a really considerable concussion history that, one bad hit and he could miss 6 weeks of next season. So that's kind of where it comes from. Plus, those two and Reed are getting closer to their rookie contracts being up. And so, yeah, you got to add. And you have a quarterback who lost his confidence in a major way. A veteran wide receiver could really help that. So it's interesting. I agree with what you said earlier, Mike. Drafting doesn't really help that much. It's free agency or trade is probably the smarter way to go. So it's cool. I mean, for the last 8-10 seasons before this one, it was Packers need to add another wide receiver, and it's crazy how quickly we're back in that mode.
Just to clear up, it's not that I'm against getting a young receiver. It's just I don't think that's what the team needs.
No.
I think the team has a lot of good young receivers, right? And I think what needs to happen is you need somebody to kind of come in that room that is at the top of their game from a veteran perspective.
Yes.
That could kind of give them the glue to get the full potential out of what they kind of have. I think we have a lot of potential in the receiver group, but they don't have the guidance or pedigree of a guy like, and I hate to bring this up because I know this is going to be the topic of the offseason, but I'll be honest, he was one of my favorite players, of course, and after he left the Packers, I kind of didn't like him for a few reasons, but Devontae Adams, I think would actually fit this team pretty well. I really think he would because I don't think he's going to get what he thinks he's going to get in the open market, even though he had a pretty good run down the stretch there with Rodgers. Mm-hmm. But again, Rodgers,
he'd have to get cut first.
Huh?
Yeah,
he'd have to get cut first.
Well, so he's technically under contract.
Yes.
Yeah, the Jets. I mean, the Jets might want a veteran quarterback if they're going to start a veteran wide receiver if they're going to start with a young quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think the Jets, everything all matters kind of who they hire as coach, right? Because who they hire as coach is going to have an idea of who he wants to be quarterback
And GM too. Don't forget that.
and GM. But I think more on the coach side.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
Look, I probably would bet on Rodgers being back because honestly, at this point, who else is going to take Rodgers at this point at the moment? He's kind of got like Bill Belichick vibes right now, where probably
That's
more of
true.
a headache to get him than anything, and
That's
you
that's
know,
a good connection.
yeah, like it's not that Bill Belichick shouldn't be in the league, but I think one, it's going to be a huge story. Two, he's going to want to make the team his own, right? That's kind of what happens when you get a guy of this caliber. When you hire a guy at the top of their um, game, right? What you're hiring them for is not necessarily to be plug and play. It's almost like, wow, we're doing something either completely new and we have no idea what we're venturing into. So we got to hire this real top guy to build something out, right? Or we're in real big trouble. The guy before was useless, and now we need somebody to take us out of the ashes, right? So I think the Jets are in the situation of, we're in big trouble because the last time, right? We thought we were in a good spot with Rodgers, and now we kind of need to restart. And that's why, honestly, I think the next coach that comes in should probably just say, I don't think we should do this with Rodgers. It just doesn't really make sense. The Jets' long-term solution at quarterback is not going to be Rodgers. So to bring in a coach right now to kind of do what LaFleur did or Rodgers, where maybe I'll get a few more years out of Rodgers. Maybe we'll get a Super Bowl, right? It doesn't make sense. It's just prolonging the inevitable of they're going to have to get a guy, whoever this coach is going to be, to make that partnership occur. They make sense. So I don't know. Maybe you get I see Rex Ryan is in the conversation there, which is crazy. But he's saying something like, "Well, this is not going to be the Mister Rogers show if I'm in there. Everything's going to be going through me." But I don't know. I think if you bring it, Jets go young coach route, kind of like LaFleur with the Packers. You part ways with Rodgers, and even if you have a year where you don't, have a real good young quarterback, and you kind of do this as a rebuilding year, and the next year you get him as the Jets. But I don't think you can marry a young coach to an old quarterback. That marriage isn't going to work, and if it does work, it's not going to work for long, and just going to ruin them again. So I guess what I'm saying, but going back to Devontae Adams, where I went onto this tangent, if Rodgers is gone, I think Adams is gone. I think that's part of the old regime, where everyone that Rodgers brought in is gone when Rodgers leaves. Just like with the president, right? We've seen all his guys get out of there, right? And we're going to bring in new guys, right? Like it does. This half and half stuff doesn't work. We have to go completely. What do you call it? It's either Rodgers, right, or not Rodgers.
We can't be stuck in the middle river. Let's remember, Mikey. And I agree with you on that. But the other side is if Rodgers stays with the Jets, Garrett Wilson might want out of New York, so you could trade for him.
Right. So you're saying that Garrett Wilson will want to leave if Rodgers is still there? They have issues now?
Oh, they've had issues.
I think they got beef. Garrett Wilson kind of reminds me of Jair. Unbelievably talented, but kind of questionable in the locker room.
But here's the thing. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm commandeering this episode.
I was just gonna say with Garrett Wilson, they had ever since Devontae came in, they both had Rodgers and Wilson have not connected. Rodgers will do the exact same plays he did with Devontae Adams back in the day, and they won't connect. They don't have that chemistry like Tay and Rodgers have, obviously. And Rodgers is what we mentioned before on the show, Mike, of Rodgers is always 3 steps ahead of what you want to do, and Wilson is not there. He's not processing it all right away and early to see what's going to happen. So I would like Garrett Wilson to come. But then there's also downside of what John just mentioned of Jair. Can you contain that, and can that leadership be the right fit? I think you can work around with Garrett Wilson as long as he doesn't become a diva like George Pickens out there.
So I just thought when you're talking, I don't think I have an issue with Garrett Wilson. I don't think he's a diva. I think what happened was exactly what I said was going to happen. right? When you bring in Rodgers, when you have a team that's gelling with young guys, right? Think about right before Rodgers went to the Jets. Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. Those are their rookie seasons. They come off the. Remember when Sauce Gardner had the cheese head right after that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that was
burned
the
it.
best the Jets have looked. You know
Yes.
why? They're on the up and up. They got a great defense. They're a young team. Then they get Rodgers, and what happens? It stunts the team. And that's what I thought. I said back then, right? If you get Rodgers, you have to be 100% on the Super Bowl path. Otherwise, you're stunting the growth of this team. It was even worse than I thought it was going to be because one, he got hurt, which I didn't think was going to happen, right? But two, this season was a debacle, right? And now I think what the young guys are doing is saying, hey, it's the beginning of my career, and we got Rodgers over here bringing in all his old buddies to come and do this as like a last hurrah. Like, this is the beginning of my career.
Garrett Wilson's like, why am I running my routes in between Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb?
Right, exactly. So I think he's saying, like, what's going on here? I'm supposed to be the guy that's building my career. I'm Garrett Wilson. I was the man here for a year. Then this guy comes in, this clown, and he's running his own show. Alan Lazard comes in. Devontae Adams. What about me? I'm Garrett Wilson. I was the guy here for a long time, or not for 1 year, and I was supposed to be the up and up guy. So I see where his issue is. His issue is his environment, not kind of who he is first. So here's what I thought about when he said, and I think the same things with Jair Alexander. I think he's just had it in Green Bay for a while. Wow. He's a smart guy. He's a good player, and they probably weren't listening to him. He's probably done with the coaches. So swap them. We take Garrett Wilson, right? They take Jair. I think that's a fair trade.
Well,
Yeah, I'd make that trade.
Well, like the way you just described Garrett Wilson, it reminds me of a lot of Greg Jennings of like how you remember those new receivers came in, like Jordy came in. You see those new receivers, and Greg was not happy about the distribution, about like getting the ball because he always complained, "I want the ball. Where's my role?" And you see the young guys like Jordy come in and takes over. So, I mean, I would also agree to the trade. Like, I would definitely do Ja for Garrett Wilson, like to help out though. But I'm just saying, like Greg Jennings, a little bit of Garrett Wilson.
Right. What this is, right, and in both situations, I think it's a failed relationship. You have two failed relationships going on forward, right? And then maybe what you need to do is just swap the relationships, and maybe it'll be better, right? It's not that there's anything wrong with the people in the relationships. It's just not working, and that's what's going on here.
Well, I can, for the sports fan perspective, I can relate to it, Mike, because for the basketball perspective for you guys, I'm a Sixers fan, and I can relate to when they did the James Harden Ben Simmons trade. It didn't work out. It was complete opposite, and nothing changed their relationship. Granted, the Ben Simmons thing, there was no beef because he couldn't play in Brooklyn. He still can't play, where he's still getting paid millions of dollars. Whereas James Harden went in there, he didn't change his mind whatsoever. So you have to be careful of the whole relationship part, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, look, a job and a romantic relationship, a friendship, a family relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's interpersonal relationships, very important stuff. And once that stuff breaks, right, it's very hard to keep doing it over and over again and expect different results once it breaks. Like, how do you turn it around? You kind of have to say, okay, cut my losses, some costs, move forward. But maybe what we need to do, swap them. They get Jair, we get Garrett Wilson. They both get new, opportunities in a new place. Mm-hmm. And they can hit the ground running back to where they probably should have been if it wasn't for the relationships fail.
Yeah, I mean, Duke did mention today in his presser that he's non-committal on Ja's future, and he denied that there's any disconnect between Ja and the organization following the injury erupted this season that did not play out the way that each side hoped it would.
Yeah, there's too much smoke with Jair, man. There's too much
He's
smoke.
gone.
Yeah,
it's
from
been
last
fun.
year's situation, right?
Yeah.
Look, you don't really fix a situation like what happened last year. Yeah, you might do it for a few weeks, but Jair's too egotistical for him to really say, "Oh yeah, sure." Like, and that's the thing with Jair, right? He's egotistical, but that's what makes him good, right?
He's a great player. It's unfortunate, really.
And you kind of need to have some of that swagger, but you're not going to not be egotistical and have that swagger. I mean, all these guys do that. Look at Rodgers. He's egotistical. That's why he loves his guys. Rodgers, the neighborhood, right? Look at Favre. He was egotistical. That's why he did that volleyball thing that he did, right? And all the other issues he's been in, right? So in order to be really good at something, look, you have to have some kind of competitive flair and drive. which means there's something probably wrong in your brain where you're egotistical. So, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm serious. Like, you can't expect someone to be like the nicest person in the world, but then be the best cornerback. It just doesn't make any sense.
Great references today, Mike, so far. Great references.
Yeah, that was a lot.
It's true, though, right? And you see, here's the thing. Jair's situation is done because it's not that he's a bad guy. It's not that, he's really going to do anything that's unethical or wrong. It's just the relationship is done. It's not going to get any better. We just have to let him go.
Not everybody loves the people they work for.
Right, exactly. So I think it's just time that Jair kind of moves on in his career.
But that's a big hole to fill.
But then we need to get compensation for him. Now here's the worst thing. If you spend all this time grooming Jair, right, and then he just walks, what was the point? What was the point, right? So if we could get Garrett Wilson in return and do a trade,
like a second-round pick, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I would take a second-round pick. I would do Ja. Knowing my guess, I feel like if anybody has to make a trade offer, it would just have to be us more likely, just because Garrett Wilson's so young. So we would probably have to add like a second or third-round pick in there with Jair and put it in with the Garrett Wilson trade.
I don't want a draft pick, and I'll explain to you why. It's too much risking. Jair, we built up to be a top guy, right?
Yeah.
Some of these trades we get a draft pick. I mean, look. I don't want to say the jury's out definitely on Jordan Morgan, but look, we spent a first-round pick last year when we could have had Cooper DeJean in a cornerback room that was, terrible. And he's on the other side laughing at us when we wanted to get him. And instead we got a lineman who, again, may be good in the rest of his career, but was on injured reserve all year.
I wanted him. I said it last year. He was my number one guy for the Packers. But, I mean, just to go back quickly to the Devontae situation, it was very interesting to see Xavier McKinney tweets out of saying, Tay, come home, on the Kay Adams, like when Kay Adams posted that video of like Devontae now ruling out a return to Green Bay. Xavier McKinney literally went on X and he tweeted, "Come home, Devontae, come home. We need you." Like, I mean,
hope he does.
Like, I would like it, but hey, you just never know. But the Packers are going to make moves. That's definitely going to happen. Would you
trade Jair for Devontae? I would.
No, not true.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I guess it depends what other teams would offer you.
Hey, I
want somebody younger.
Hey, we could get Max Crosby, guys. Just send Ja and a couple picks here, and we're good to get Max Crosby.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be excited about next season. I think with T. Higgins, Max Crosby, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, it's going to be a formidable team.
I agree. I just think with Josh Jacobs' comment about recruiting, I like that. Of like, okay, this is the type of guy, and he was meant to come to Green Bay, and he's going to be awesome. I like it when players try the recruiting method because it works. It hasn't worked in the past, so that is definitely a benefit to what we get. And in both Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs are guys who we hit home run picks last year from free agency. Want to get guys to come in. That is something I like to see. Of just get other guys in the locker room and other presence in there. That's a big thing I like about that. But yeah. I just really agree on that. And then one thing I forgot to touch on is the Packers are going to interview the Jets defensive line coach, Aaron Whitecotton, for their defensive line position. So it'll be interesting to see who the Packers get for the defensive line coach.
Yeah. You think Jeff Hafley's gone?
No. I don't think Jeff's gone. I really hope he doesn't. If anything, with Jeff, I would maybe give it 2 seasons at most before he would go become a head coach. Because he's definitely going to become a head coach in the future. Let's not be wrong about that. But I hope it's like the Ben Johnson situation where he lasts longer and he takes his time. He doesn't have to worry and doesn't want to worry about it. So, and Jeff has done a phenomenal thing, but it would really hurt this team if he leaves after this season. It really would hurt us.
The Jets could do better.
They could. I mean, Jeff Hafley's not that great, Jet fans. He's not that great. He was a terrible coach. Mike is a better coach than he is.
I have a crazy idea, and I'm going to get completely shut down. And I'm going to say it anyway. Look, I very love Matt LaFleur. I really do.
Watch.
as a guy. As a coach, I'm starting to be on the fence about it. I really am. He really had a terrible season as a coach.
Nothing crazy yet.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's the crazy part. I think this Ben Johnson guy in the Lions might be one of the best coach prospects in a long time. Right? Now here's the thing. I wouldn't want to get rid of LaFleur for the spread of whoever else is out there, right? But we're talking about replacing people. If you could secretly get Ben Johnson to sign up for this Packers job, I would get him out and let LaFleur walk.
I mean,
that guy, I know LaFleur has the contract, you're probably paying him a lot of money, but
I wouldn't. No. Here's the thing: the Lions wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow him to request an interview and everything. The Lions wouldn't allow him to go to the Packers. That's for sure. They would have a competition clause in the contract.
No, they can't stop it because it's a step up. The thing is, there has to be a public interview. That's the problem.
No, but it has to be in his contract. If he had a competition clause, he's not allowed to go coach that team. He's not allowed to go compete or go join to play against a rival wise in the division. That could be in his contract.
If it's if it's a promotion, he can. I'm not saying to be offensive coordinator. I'm saying to be head coach.
I think if you gave Matt LaFleur, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery, and Frank Ragnow, and Jameson Williams, and Penei Sewell, he'd give you an offense that was just as good as the Lions' offense.
Yeah, I agree.
I think their roster is pretty amazing. And he gets a little. He's obviously the number one candidate, but he also gets a little too much praise for the fact that he's flashy and they always go for it and their trick plays.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a slam dunk. Yeah, he's the best option out there, but I don't think he turns the team into like an instant. Like if he goes to a crappy team like the Saints, I don't think they're instantly a playoff contender just because they have Ben Johnson.
No, and he's projected to go to the Raiders. I keep hearing of favorite wise, so that would be good to know. And then Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, got his interview with the Jets, and he said today in his press conference that the Jets would be my number one choice if he gets the offer the job.
That's what's going to happen. Jets always go for defensive coordinator.
They do.
Coaches.
It's rare if you see an offensive coach for the Jets, so. It's gonna be nice next year that you don't have to deal with the coordinators for the Lions. That helps us out a little bit, I'll say.
If Jeff Hafley, hopefully the Lions suffer because of it. But if Jeff Hafley leaves, we'll just hire Robert Saleh to be DC, and we'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I mean there's that, and then
it might not be a bad idea.
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
That might not be a bad idea. Have them switch.
Yeah, something like that. And then there's I don't think Brian Flores is. Yeah, I don't think Brian Flores is going to get a job at all. I think he's going to stay where he's at. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him getting requests of an interview. I haven't heard anything whatsoever. All I've heard from the Minnesota part is the interaction where people were trying to trade for Kevin O'Connell, and there was a little beef. I kept hearing the Vikings locker room. That some people are not happy with the whole debacle, and Justin Jefferson, there was some stupid rumors that he might get traded after the playoff game loss. He literally did piece the crowd, I'm out.
Nah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think he's going anywhere, but it was just interesting to see. But yeah, definitely. But yeah. All right.
Look, this is going to be a fun off season, guys. It really will. Yeah. I think we have a lot of room to make something happen in the free agency. And obviously, the reason why it'll really be a fun off season is because it'll be the first time that Green Bay, Wisconsin gets a major NFL event. So we'll be at the draft. It sounds like drum roll, please. John, maybe at the draft. Is that correct?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
I gotta go through the process of actually planning it, but yeah, most likely.
Is this change overnight or something?
No. I said yesterday probably 80%. It's still like 80%.
But you were the other night I'm not going to go to that.
No, I never said that. Yes, that was Jeff who said that.
Jeff said it.
No, was that before I even met Jeff? I said, "Are you going to go to the draft?" You're like, "I don't think so."
I might have said that a long time ago, but I've been thinking I'll probably go to the draft.
Here, Mike.
Jeremy, are you going to come?
No, I'm not gonna come. But
Why not? Stay in my hotel.
But let me address
Why
this
aren't
for
you
John.
going to the draft?
Let me address this for John. John needs to do a darkness retreat to decide if he gets to go or not.
That's hilarious.
Wait, but John, if you got a hotel, you should probably think of it.
No, I'd probably stay at my grandparents' house in Neenah.
Oh, okay.
But that was funny. I often think how long I would last in a darkness retreat.
You should do
I
it.
think I could last 1 or 2 days. I feel like that'd be the most I could go. I wouldn't last long.
Yeah, my thought on the draft is: would it be more fun to go to night 1 that starts at 8:30? You're going to see one pick, or true, you could go every night, or
The whole thing.
Yeah, I think day 3 is just like you don't go to the draft, but you just go like for the fun, leisure, pleasure. You just go like to just go do all the activities.
I was thinking, or the question is more, what would be the best day? And I think it might be day 2.
Day 2, I think, is the best because you kind of know what happened day 1, but then like day 2, it just gets more hype. I feel like than day. I mean, day 1, it gets hype, but I feel like day 2 is underrated in my opinion.
Like the picks still matter. You still kind of know who the guys are. You get more of them. It starts at 6 instead of 8.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or I guess 5 instead of 7.
Yeah.
Jeremy, we gotta set some goals for the draft. We have to have merch by the draft.
Okay.
Um,
I'll put that down.
and we got to come up with some kind of something for the draft. Since John and Jeff and I are going to be at the draft.
Jeremy, you're still in college. Are you going to declare for the draft?
You know, I honestly could.
But you have to have a certain number of years of eligibility from
Maybe
college.
you get an invite to the combine?
Yeah, invite to come out. I'll try that.
Well, you do your own combine every year, so.
I do my own combine. That's up for the YouTubers. You can watch my tape, guys. Real pro out here. It's better than Tom Grassi.
How do you have, what do you call it? Oh, crap. Why can't I think of the name right now? Spotted Cow in New York, John. You still have it?
Oh, I drink one of these every time I'm chatting with you
How
guys.
do you get so much?
I buy them every time I go to Wisconsin, like 20 of them, put them in my duffel bag, and then I only drink them during Packers games. So they last a while.
Got it. Okay.
That's good. Okay.
So I'm glad that the show gets a.
Yeah, the show and Packers games.
There you go.
Sweet. That's good. Okay, Mike. What else were you saying? What was
I've said a lot tonight. I've said a lot.
I heard merch, and then we heard Spotted Cow.
Well, no, we have to have some kind of event that, especially if John,
Okay.
Jeff, and I are going to be there. But Jeremy, you got to come now. I mean, what are you doing in April?
Well, my parents are gonna be out of town, so it was just literally.
Perfect.
I'll try. I'll try and see if I can.
Just as peer pressure, Jeremy. Now, Jeremy's the youngest one on the show, so we're just going to peer pressure.
I'll see what I
Sorry,
can do.
Jeremy's family, if he's watching. But go with your brother. He's probably in the pair champ, right? Is he in the what do you call it, comment section? Tell him to come.
Have they said where they're putting the draft stage?
I think it's at the Breast Center.
I think it's at the rec center or something like that.
Indoors or outdoors? Or
So
like hybrid?
It's indoor. I think it's indoor.
So you know the guy Caden Sunila, by any chance?
Yeah.
Bald head guy.
Yeah.
He's on Twitter. Anyway, we played football with him when me and Jeff when we went to the game. So we asked him about it because apparently his dad is like I don't know, part of like the Green Bay government or something, or I don't know, government. So he has connections, but so his understanding I think was that the green room is going to be in the Resch Center, and then it's going to be kind of where that like armed forces flag is and like the memorial right outside the Resch Center where Lambeau is. I think that's where the stage is going to be set up. So if you look at Oneida, right? Oneida is that street that blocks the Lambeau to the what do you call it? Practice field, right? That whole road going back to the parking lot, I think, is where the setup's going to be. That's my understanding.
Nice. All right. Do you want to get into a little free agency game here for you two, just to make it a bit more fun?
You have a game for us, Jeremy?
I said it before the show. John was apparently the only one who listened and agreed.
I used to get that a lot in the past, so you're right. I probably wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
You said go ahead. I was like, all right, so we'll do it. All right, so I will name a player, and you tell me whether we should re-sign him or we should let him walk. Okay. All right.
So
Josh Myers.
keep.
Keep Mike.
Walk.
I think he played 3 reasons. He played better this year. I'm not saying he's good. He's average.
Oh.
But he's good enough that I'd be fine if he was a starting center next year.
Okay.
LaFleur called him out as a good locker room guy, and I think the Packers desperately need that. And I think stability on the offensive line is really important. So I wouldn't be upset if he left, but I'd say keep.
Mike, what are you against him?
Walk. He reminds me of who's the guy that was the rules guy's son? The guy we had on the offensive line that was the son of the NFL rules guy.
Oh, John Runyon?
John Runyon, yeah. He reminds me of John Runyon. He's going to get overpaid somewhere. He's not that good. And our center position, right? We need to upgrade at the center position. I think that he's been a mediocre piece that we should have got. What's his name? The guy in the Chiefs?
Creed
Humphrey. That's a huge red mark on Gutekunst's decision because he literally went the next pick. So, and it's not like you say, well, they went for another player for another position or something. Like, he literally made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So it's like, having like 2 options of a relationship and making the wrong choice. Like, he made the wrong choice there. So I think we got to move forward at this point.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't overpay him like another team is going to because, look, center is an important position. It's not a ton of them out there, but I think we need to get a new person. Also, the fact that we messed up on Creed Humphrey really does not sit well with me.
Understandable. I mean, we did invest in last year by getting Monk, and everyone thinks he's going to be very good. So,
yeah, that's fine with me. Give him an opportunity, and draft somebody else too. But give Monk an opportunity to win the job against whoever you draft.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Next. Gotcha, Mike. Next player is Isaiah McDuffie.
I'd be fine keeping him.
I'd say keep him. I don't think that he's going to have a huge market out there. Yeah, I don't think they have a huge market. I think he's a pretty good, decent backup.
Okay. Eric Stokes.
Let him walk. Gotta upgrade.
Yeah, I think he's been a big disappointment, and I think that cornerback room needs to be blown up. Although you need to have a replacement for him. If you don't have a replacement for him, maybe keep him on a low deal, kind of like the A.J. Dillon thing, where no one's going to want him. And if you get somebody just to be a body, maybe. But my preference would be to upgrade, big time.
Gotcha. Okay. Next player, Eric Wilson.
Keep. Great special teams player.
I'm going to say keep for one reason and one reason only. That play he made against the 49ers last year.
I was thinking of that.
So that play earns him another season in Green Bay. But look, good special teams guy, but not a great defensive player. But again, that play last year was so important that he gets. I can't root against him for that one play.
Gotcha. Okay. Next player, this guy had the unsportsmanlike call in the Eagles game. That was very late in the game. That's TJ Slayton.
You're cutting out. I didn't hear you. I don't know if John.
TJ Slayton?
Oh. Sorry. Yeah, TJ Slayton.
I mean, I think that one depends on price. I'd be fine keeping him for cheap. He pops here and there. He's not. He's an average player at best, but if you can get him for a low hit, that's fine.
I'm going to say keep because big boys like that do not come often. He's a big boy, and I think he's an important part of the defensive line. He really is a big body. I don't think he's a barn burner by any chance. I don't think he's at any point going to be a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro. But here's the other thing. Kenny Clark, our guy in the defensive line, Where the hell was he?
He's getting old. They
He's
got
definitely getting
to
old.
upgrade the defensive line.
So is that my internet that's going out? Seems like both of you going out now. But
I think, yeah.
is it me?
I think it was me for a second.
Okay. You know, the fact that you said, John, that Kenny Clark is getting old, that makes me sad because I'm 2 days older than him. So,
Oh man.
You know, yeah, that really makes me sad.
Well, if you were a defensive lineman,
I think I'm going to go into my darkness retreat now.
maybe I don't know. Maybe he'll prove me wrong and have a resurgence next year.
No, I don't know, but there's something wrong with Kenny Clark. He's really fallen off the face of the earth. Really sad.
I mean, who played well for the Packers defense this season besides Edgerrin Cooper and Xavier McKinney, and maybe the rookie safeties? I mean, yeah, Valentine, Nixon, but I think
Williams, I think, had a good season.
On paper, they were, or not on paper, but statistically, they were a very good defense, like a top 10 defense easily. They were sixth, I think, in yards and points allowed. But then when you watch game to game, McKinney and Cooper are the only guys you really notice, which is just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Next player, Daniel Whelan.
Keep.
Yeah, of course.
He was pretty good.
No, I don't think punters come very often like that. I think he's pretty good at it. I think he's been pretty decent, pretty serviceable. I don't think he's been a problem. I would keep him.
Okay. Brandon McManus.
Absolutely keep.
He killed us with that field goal, but it's a keep.
Yeah, that was a bad field goal miss. Not that it would change anything, but he needs to kick that field goal. I don't know. That was really outside of his cadence and kind of what we expected of him. Although you saw how big that kicker position changed when he came in. And
Yes.
You know what I say with the kicker position? That's a position where you don't, play the field on. You find a guy and you keep him. Because look,
Agreed.
you just need to go there and make field goals. And he was reliable. And look, when somebody's reliable and that's all you need, he's a lunch pail guy, like what Nagler used to say, right? Like, you don't mess around with your lunch pail guys. He shows up, get the job done, go home. That's what I need from him. I don't need him to be flashy. I don't need him to be a Jair Alexander. I just need him to show up, go home, and not get in trouble on planes or whatever happened. So
That was okay.
But he got acquitted. So innocent until proven guilty. That's how he didn't get proven guilty.
Okay. Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah. That's a good question. Mike,
Did he really play much this year?
He didn't play that much. He will turn 34 in July.
Really?
he's that old.
Oh wait, sorry, wrong player.
No way.
26. Sorry, 26. Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say 34.
That was McManus. Sorry.
He had Emmanuel Wilson. I had to look up his stats. 4.9 yards per carry. That's pretty good. And he had 100 carries. So
Here's the one thing.
Keep him. He had 4 touchdowns too.
Here's the one thing. Why can't I think of his name? Who's the running back that was hurt this year?
Marshawn Lloyd.
Marshawn Lloyd. You got to make him a focus point of this offense next year behind Josh Jacobs. So
If he's good.
I think he's going to be good. I like that guy. I think he's going to be good. Anyway, I think you got to make him a focus point, and he would be the third running back there. So you got to get him cheap. I'd rather have a young developmental guy you draft than somebody that you pay, even if he's only paying $2-3 million to him. It's got to be like a vet minimum. Or whatever he is at this point, whatever the minimum salary is. Kind of like what I said about A.J. Dillon last year. Which, are we all on the same page? A.J. Dillon's done, right? He's a free agent.
He's got to be.
Yep.
which is interesting because I still don't understand how A.J. Dillon leaves Wisconsin. He built the house. He's married somebody from Wisconsin,
He
right?
just retired.
You think he retires?
I mean, I don't know. He wasn't good at all before his injury. Now he's got a major neck injury under his belt. I imagine he's made a decent amount of money. He's probably got.
He's got a daughter now. He's got a wife.
He's got a livelihood in Wisconsin. He's not going to. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he retired.
It honestly makes sense. He got another year. He probably going to get his injury settlement from. All these players have injury insurance contracts, right?
Yeah,
maybe you're right. Maybe he gets an insurance payout.
If he wants to play, he's gonna have to leave Wisconsin. He's not gonna get many, if any, snaps. He's gonna be a total backup. He's gonna make the league minimum. Maybe just retire. Why risk? Well, I don't know. I get you don't want your career to end, but why? What's the draw on it?
I successfully predicted A.J. Dillon coming back on a vet minimum contract. I didn't predict him getting hurt, but I think you just predicted what's going to happen with his career. I think he's going to retire, actually, now that I think about it.
Good for him.
I think he's going to get a payout for being injured. I bet you that's what happened.
That might have been what happened this year.
No, I think the Packers had to pay him. But the only thing, though, is he didn't have a long-term contract, right? So they can't say that he would have lost money from the Packers contract. So it's like from a career. I don't know.
Okay. All right, and then to give you the last one here, Bo Melton, exclusive rights free agents.
Yeah, because of the exclusive rights free agent. That's a big part. You don't get rid of guys on exclusive rights free agent.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. He's a replaceable guy.
Yeah, but exclusive rights free agents like peanuts. They come back at like $800,000.
No, that's fine though.
That's peanuts in the football kits.
But if you draft a rookie wide receiver, that's about what they'll make. And
I know. Isn't that crazy? Peanuts, $800,000. If I was making $800,000, I'd run out of here. See you guys later. Have fun with the
for
podcast.
5 years and then retire.
Like that money, for example, for Bo Melton, that's like the highest paid money it is in the WNBA per player.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, there's like some stat that LeBron makes more than the whole WNBA combined. And that might not be true anymore, but like 10 years ago, it was true.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, right? Tim Boyle, right? The guy that was our backup quarterback, third string quarterback, was his second backup in the Rodgers.
Mr. New York Jets,
guy has made probably 20 to 30 million. I don't know, anywhere between 10 to 30 million in his career. And he sucked everywhere he's gone. But somehow he's accumulated 10 to 30 million dollars probably because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers. What a life,
It's the beauty of being a decent backup quarterback.
I don't even call him decent. I would say that if he wasn't friends with Aaron Rodgers, he has no career.
Hey, it could be like Kurt Benkert all over again, Mike. Just get that photo of his knee.
Kurt Benkert, after he left Green Bay, I know he had that stint in San Francisco, but that was it.
Yeah.
Right? Being a journeyman quarterback, backup quarterback, actually, it's not about how good you are as a player. It's actually your mind, right? I'm thinking about like Orlovsky, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Who else? The guy that was in the Jets when.
Well, there's is it Josh Johnson? I forget. That's the guy, or it's one of them.
No.
McCown?
Sorry,
yeah,
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown. Yeah. Thank you. That's him. So, those are guys that made probably 50 to 100 million over their career for being a backup. Even like Joe Flacco too, even though Joe Flacco was a starter for a time. But these guys, because they were smart players, can kind of build up the guys in front of them, the younger guys in front of them, and were reliable backups. But a guy like Tim Boyle, has just been a journeyman everywhere he's gone. But maybe I guess he's a nice guy. I like him. He's a nice guy. But he's made a lot of money for not having any performance. Every time he goes on the field, it's like you want to shield your eyes from the what do you call it? From the what's going on the field.
Mhm. Yeah,
So honestly, you should go out there, Jeremy. You probably would be better.
I could. If I had a quarterback arm, I would try.
You know? But who cares? He have a good arm. He has some zip on the ball. I remember watching him when I went to Green Bay. But when he gets on the field, he's terrible. He can't do anything. So I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, well, that was all the Packer free agents I had for you guys. So that is the list here for these from these two gentlemen of who they want to keep and who they don't want to keep, ladies and gentlemen. Before we head
None
out
of
here,
those names are that big.
Yeah.
I figure just to give it. I think the biggest one was probably Josh Myers would be the biggest one.
Sorry, why isn't
no
AJ
Patriots.
Dillon on my list?
Well, we pretty much answered it, Mike, when you just asked about AJ Dillon. I was gonna say it, but then you just took it out of my mouth.
So I commandeered you again, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a tendency of doing that sometimes. I'm sorry, guys.
Very good. Before we head out, I do want to ask you guys if you're Brian Gutekunst and you're heading to free agency here, what move do you make in your free agency? Who would you want to get? And it could be any position, and you make one move to kind of stir the pot for the Packers. And of course, it could be T. Higgins, but who would you make it to be?
I'll start.
Okay.
I'm going to give you two moves.
Oh,
One free agent, one trade. I really like our Garrett Wilson, what do you call it, Jair Alexander's trade.
proposal. Yep.
So I'm going to go with the Garrett Wilson, Jair Alexander trade.
That's fine.
But that's, like I said, that's a relationship swap. It's kind of like what's that show, Wife Swap? Well, it's a what do you call it?
Yeah.
Wife Swap. Well, it's a permanent receiver cornerback swap. Anyway,
that's crazy.
yeah, I'm a Brian tonight. But anyway,
References.
you like that one. Anyway, but then what I would do with free agencies, I'd get the top tier cornerback available. Just like we got Xavier McKinney last year,
Yeah.
I think we need a top tier cornerback because that cornerback room is a disaster. And getting rid of Jair Alexander is going to make it even more a disaster, even though I think it's necessary. But that means that we need a top tier cornerback and then draft the top tier cornerback in the first round. So I think you need top tier free agent cornerback, top tier first round cornerback. And then I think we need another receiver, which is what I'm trying to think. We can get Wilson.
Well, then
I think we're in business.
What about the pass rush then?
Second round.
Second round? Okay.
But I think, look, we got Gary, we got Lucas Van Ness, we got Edwin Cooper, Kingsley and Igbare. We got pieces there, but I agree. I think second round. And I think the offensive line is an important piece, too. I think this team has more holes than we're thinking about, honestly.
I'd probably go. Free agency. I'd probably want pass rusher, cornerback. Safety's fine, linebacker's fine. Shore up those two positions because the pass rush is pretty terrible, especially late in the season. Cornerback, like Valentine's good, Nixon's good. Like you always say, Mike, Nixon's a bit of a hothead, which kind of worries you.
Yeah.
But I think cornerback's okay. Free agency, I don't really think it's a good free agent receiver class outside of T. Higgins. Like, there's no guys that jump off. Like, I really want that guy. So, I would love to somehow get Devontae if he's able to be traded for or he gets cut.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my dream offseason for the Packers. Otherwise, give me a pass rusher or defensive lineman.
Awesome. Yeah. If I were going on the receiver end for the Packers, like previously you just mentioned, John, like T. Higgins is the number one guy instantly. I think the only other options you could consider is Chris Godwin, but you don't know of like the injury history he's had, and he's only 28 years old, so that's one big.
Yeah, I'd like Chris Godwin.
Okay, yeah, and then the other guy I would consider because I think he could be a good locker room presence and a good valuable guy is DeAndre Hopkins.
Sounds like Sammy Watkins to me.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Okay, well, I figure I throw that one in.
No, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get an older, on his way out receiver. It's going to be Devontae Adams. I don't
Okay.
think he'd DeAndre Hopkins at this point of his career.
Yeah.
But yeah, my ideal situation would be to get Garrett Wilson. And I know you had mentioned Keyshawn Nixon there, John. I did text you guys saying that Keyshawn Nixon's a bit of a diva. And I know I said that you kind of need that with a cornerback, need some swagger with kind of like the Jair thing. I think Jair's a little bit of a diva, honestly, too, like I said. But at least Jair backs it up.
Yeah.
Keyshawn doesn't really back it up that much. I honestly almost done with Keyshawn. Look, he had a spot on this team because of his
Kickoff.
return ability, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, you could probably have a robot out there at this point. It's a waste of time. Just a robot doing fair catches and kickoff return. I really dislike what they did with the kickoff return. I think, look, we're playing football, guys. Have a kickoff return. I mean, come on. It's part of American society. Like, let's kick things off. It just, how can you ruin the kickoff like what they did this year? I mean, honestly, it makes me less of a football fan because of what they did on that kickoff.
Nixon brings it out a decent amount. He's just not good at it.
But it's just boring. It's a boring play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, the fact that in American society, it's so commonplace for say something, I'm going to kick this off. It's a meeting kickoff, right? Like, it's literally a part of American society to kick off. And these guys decided that they were going to ruin this play.
It's not totally ruined yet.
I mean,
you still get, 10, 15, maybe 20 kickoff returns for touchdowns?
I'm going to start a new what do you call it, slogan right here. Make the kickoff great again. I'm telling you, we need the kickoff back.
I didn't expect that tonight's podcast would lead to us calling Keyshawn Nixon a threat to American society.
No, I didn't say he was a threat to American society. I didn't say it at all. I said that getting rid of the kickoff from an NFL perspective dilutes Keyshawn Nixon's importance to this team. And the reason why he was really on this team was because of the kickoff return. Now, I know he had to take a step up in cornerback because of all the injuries we had, and the room is terrible, right? Mm-hmm. But he's not an outside corner. That's never why he was on this team. He's actually okay slot corner. I think he's actually above average slot corner.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's not supposed to be an outside cornerback. He's supposed to be a kickoff returner and a pretty decent slot quarterback.
So who's supposed to be the third cornerback next year?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't have quarterback room, in my opinion. And that's what's so scary.
See, now my big thing is what I would want to do if I'm the GM is I go CB because this cornerback free agency class is very good. Like, there's plenty of options you could go at. You could bring Rasul Douglas back. You could go after Javarius Ward from San Francisco, even though he had a bad year last year. For majority of his career, he's an all-pro guy. I think my number one guy is to go back at the New York Packers, like they're trying to take former Packer players to Aaron Rodgers. I would steal a Jets defensive player, and that is DJ Reed. Give me the secondary guy, opposite side of Sauce Gardner. Put him in there. Boom. That just fixed the secondary right away.
Cool.
I would like Rasul. I still disagree with Goody of making that trade. I still think it's a terrible trade for that.
What if night one, Thursday night in Green Bay, Goody trades up for Travis Hunter?
It depends on what.
It'll never happen. How cool would that be?
It would be cool, but it really depends on what we give up. I don't want to do a Deshaun Watson deal. I could not live with that as a Packer fan.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. What's going to happen with crap? Why can't I think of his name? Prime time. Deion Sanders. Is he going to take the Cowboys job? Is he going to take a head coach job in the NFL?
There's no way the Cowboys trade for his son. There is no way that's happening.
I mean, it's too high up, right? I mean, what are the Cowboys picking?
They're like the 12th, or they're between 12 and 15, I'm pretty sure. But my guess is they're going to take a running back. They're going to take that guy from Boise State, Heedy.
Yeah, but wherever primetime goes, they're going to get his son. Whether they have to give up the farm for, I mean, that's going to be what happens. Yeah. At least that's what I think. But
I just don't think it'll happen. I mean,
do you think he stays in Colorado and then his son's gone?
No, his son. Well, his son's definitely gone because last time. The Cowboys do pick 12. I don't know with
If they have.
Dion, like he definitely would definitely consider it, but if he goes to the Cowboys, yeah. I mean, to me, if he goes to the Cowboys,
I don't
Dion
know.
does. I think it's another Bill Parcells 2.0. I think it's another Bill Parcells 2.0 situation all over again, where you have a great coach, like Deion Sanders will say, but the problem with the Dallas Cowboys is you got Jerry Jones running the show. Jerry needs to be like an actual owner and sit back and chill, not take too much responsibility. His days of being great are gone. That is the only thing Dallas can do if they want to win a Super Bowl ever again. He's got to step down.
Yeah, I mean, also Dak's a good quarterback. That would be pretty stupid if they drafted Shedeur Sanders.
And they just signed him to a big contract last year too.
They should invest elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to. I really want the Packers to attack the Stevie room. My goal would be to get DJ Reed or Rasul would be the dream goal.
That'd be awesome.
Now, a guy I wouldn't mind if we strike out on those two if we can't get him would be Byron Murphy from Minnesota. He's had a pretty good solid year. He started with Arizona, signed a 1-year deal with Minnesota this year. He's a free agent. Minnesota, I don't think is going to look at him at all because they can have to decide about the whole Sam Darnold debacle. But they got too many free agents. They got like so many old veteran guys like Aaron Jones. He's going to be out most likely. Harrison Smith, he's done. They got a bunch of veterans, so they got to clear the room. Even though it helps Minnesota because most of those guys they're not going to bring back, that could help us out, like them not bring back Byron Murphy. So I think Byron Murphy would be my third option I would go with if I want to attack the CBE free agency class. I would go with him just to get Byron Murphy to help out.
Yeah, I mean, my fantasy football brain doesn't know the defensive free agent market that well. He's an interesting one, though. If I were the Vikings, I'd sign Joe Flacco, honestly, and just make it a competition between Flacco and J.J. McCarthy. I think the lesson to be learned in the NFL is you can do well, but you're never going to win a Super Bowl with an average quarterback or even a slightly above average quarterback, like a Derek Carr, a Sam Darnold, a Geno Smith, maybe even like Baker. Those are startable quarterbacks, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl. It's just not going to happen in an era with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. So I'd go all in on J.J. McCarthy, and I'd sign Joe Flacco to guide him and maybe start a few games until he's ready.
Well, if it makes it better for you for the Minnesota Vikings, for us Packer fans, the Vikings only have 2 draft picks this upcoming draft class. A first-round pick and a fifth-round pick. That's it.
It?
Sounds like a trade down.
Wow.
You remember how they did the trade last year for Dallas Turner when we did the draft? They traded for that big pass rusher. Okay. Well,
yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. Okay. Mike should remember because we did the stream last year. But anyway, they traded multiple mid-round draft picks. They took a bunch of that capital and shipped it off. So
second round pick?
Second round, third round, fourth round picks.
Really?
You name.
Wow. I guess they didn't want to. They didn't want to pick in Green Bay.
They didn't want to get. Well, here's the thing. Like they had 2 first round picks. Remember from last year, they didn't want to trade away the first round picks, so they purposely did everything they could not to give a first round pick, and so they landed on McCarthy and they landed on a Dallas Turner with that trade off. So Dallas Turner is a good player, but it definitely hurts. It's definitely going to hurt the team. Which this might be a hot take, but like Minnesota having a good record this season, I think it helped benefit us because Minnesota's in a rebuilding year. They're still rebuilding, and they're eventually going to have to learn because I don't know if they're going to keep Darnold or not, but like I think it helped us with the draft capital wise.
The Vikings have been in between rebuilding and contending as long as I've been alive, it feels like, which has been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Glad they lost. Hope the Commanders beat the Lions.
Yeah, hopefully I doubt it, but yeah, hopefully.
All right, so we're at hour 15. I want to have one topic and then we'll close it up. Is that good?
Sounds good.
It sounds good.
All right, so obviously what went viral on Twitter this week was the Packers
Eagles.
fandom, Eagles. The reason why Jeremy was not at the game on Sunday was obviously there was a fellow Packers YouTuber, Twitter personality, Basarasi. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But, he was actually a Packers great in the, what do you call it, hype up videos for a long period of time. That's how I knew him for a long period of time, was the hype up videos. And, I reached out to him. I would love to have him on the show. So, if you're watching the show, please feel free to come on. We'd love to have you. But I will say a few things. Again, just to be honest, I did think he was a better, just personally, I thought he was a better production guy, video guy with the hype up videos, which I thought he was amazing. So I'm going to say a little bit mean, but I thought he was amazing at that. I don't think he's as good at like running shows like this, commentating.
Yeah.
I don't think that's his forte, honestly, personally. But again, he's actually pretty consistent about it. He actually has some pretty good content. But I just like the content better when he was doing the videos like that. I thought he was outstanding there. I think he's just kind of a run and mill, kind of like me. I'll be honest. Like, I'm not going to get rich at the same time. It's true. I got to keep my day job. I think he should probably keep his day job there. Although I thought he was very good with the editing, with the long form kind of hype up things. Like he actually probably has a career in it, but not in this kind of stuff. Anyway, so he ended up going with his fiance. Great story. I don't love the fact that he had a GoFundMe to get his tickets there. I mean, come on. Like John and I went to the Giants game last year. What are we going to say? Oh, we're going into the heart of the beast, the Giants. The reason why at least the reason why I'm a Packers fan so heavily is because I grew up with a bunch of Giants fans, right? Like, so I wasn't like, I'm going into like.
We had to go face Tommy DeVito with Joe Barry.
Right. We were going against a lot of New York, and it was an Italian quarterback, right, in New York. I'm not going to put that in GoFundMe to get someone to pay for my tickets. I mean, that's just lame. So that was weird. Also, who wears a body camera into a stadium?
I don't think, was it body camera?
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. That it was body camera.
I don't know. I thought it wasn't. I thought it was just a regular phone, but okay.
Look, I think he went in there looking to get somebody to call him out, which honestly I kind of respect because honestly I was saying this, like the fact that you wouldn't go to the game because of the harassment that they hear historically they're there to do. I'm all for this guy getting doxxed. All for it. Because look, no one told him to do what he did, right? And if anything, right, like he was looking for it, he doxed him, and the guy deserves to get doxed, in my opinion. But what I didn't like was this GoFundMe garbage. Like, pay for your own ticket, your fiance's ticket, man. Like, come on. Like, you don't need the community of people to pay for your ticket. This is not a GoFundMe where something actually went wrong in society or you personally, and like it's a personal thing. I mean, this is I don't want to pay for my ticket, and I'm going to like do something. Like he was looking for this. Which again, it's fine. I actually kind of like that too. I'm gonna start wearing a body camera when I go on other things. And if you mess with me, I'm gonna. It's not a bad idea. But what I'm saying is the GoFundMe thing was that's weird. I don't like that. What are your guys' opinion on this whole situation?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't follow it that close. I didn't even hear about it until like 3 days after the game because I was just kind of more focused on the football stuff and like what actually happened. The first thing I saw was the Eagles fan that was berating him. I didn't see it come out like who he was until after. I didn't realize that he was a content creator. I didn't realize he was wearing a body cam. So I mean, yeah, the Eagles guy got what he deserves. There's no place for that. I mean, there's a reason Lambeau Field is. They say. They jokingly say it like over the PA during the games, the best experience in professional sports. But it's true. Like you don't see people getting into fights at Lambeau. You don't see security guards having to break people up. I don't blame you, Jeremy. I wouldn't have gone to Philly either, even if I lived there. But yeah, kind of an unfortunate thing that happened.
But see, sorry, then I'm going to let Jeremy go. But that's a slippery slope, right? I almost feel like Eagles fans think that they have a
A right
A right.
or a
Because,
duty?
oh, that's just what the Eagles do.
Yeah,
You
and
know
that's
what
not
you're doing
okay.
when you go into the Eagles stadium, right? Like, they're going to give you a big bunch of problems. That's just Eagles fans. Let's just fill it up. Like, no, we shouldn't be normalizing
Yeah, I
like
totally agree.
harassment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's normalizing harassment. So
Yeah.
I actually respect Vasilevsky for going in there with the body camera because we should not be normalizing harassment. If you're going to harass somebody, you should be doxxed. I actually like this idea. So I'm all for this situation. It was just good that his platform kind of gave it a, you know, like a snowball effect, right? Where it was a big enough snowball because of the platform that it got to become viral.
Was it Santa all over again, Mike, of where
But
they throw snowballs at Santa?
No, but you know what I mean. Like his platform was big enough where he was right, so it ended up becoming viral because he had somewhat platform. Like if you or I would have posted it, it probably wouldn't have gone anywhere because we didn't have a big enough.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Platform.
Viewership.
But look, he's right. What I think is weird is the GoFundMe. That I'm telling you, like
I agree.
asking your fans to pay for your ticket is just weird. And we love a guy like Tom Grassi in the show. John and I know each other because of Tom Grassi. Tom Grassi has sunk a bunch of his own money into this kind of stuff. And he's never asked for money from people to do things like this. Like, what do you call it, 30 and 30? Like, I know it's a little bit different, but like, why are you asking people money to go to games? It's just weird. It's almost like he thought he was doing a public service to people. I don't think he's doing a public service. And if you did want to do a public service, do it for free and pay for it. Pay to go to the game.
Did you know that there used to be a jail and a courtroom built into Lincoln Financial Field because they had so many fans to deal with?
Every has that though.
I heard about that, yeah.
Every stadium.
A jail and a courtroom?
It's like a drunk thing. I don't know if they have a
Yes.
courtroom, but I mean, they definitely probably have a judge on hand.
Judge Judy.
But yeah, like one of my friends went to the drunk tank in what do you call it? MetLife Stadium.
Really?
They put him in there, and I wasn't there. I just heard the story after. But yeah, all these stadiums have drunk tanks. But I don't think they're jails. I think they're more like one big room that everyone gets stuck in when they're drunk. But if somebody gets violent, there probably is like, spots for just one person.
Gotcha.
Like cruise ships have jails in them too, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you get arrested on a cruise ship, they put you in a jail. So.
Interesting. Well, with my side now, first to get to the Tom Grassi part, like Tom does donate, and he does his stream every year to donate to he does his 12-hour stream every single year to donate to charity. So like Tom would never do that. We all know that. But to get to this story, the Zarky, whatever, Packers fan. Sorry if I mispronounced it, but we'll just say the Packers fan. I knew the GoFundMe thing before like the game even happened because I follow him on YouTube and I saw that in like when he was. I watched like 5 minutes of his preview for the Eagles game, I saw it on his Twitter page. He put it on his X page, Mike, and that's when I was like, okay. And I see the whole thing happen, and then finally after Eagle fans like kept posting about it. But this story has gone on for a while, for this time since it started after the game and during the game too, we could say, to now. Like he got interviewed by NBC Philly. The whole Packer family got interviewed by NBC Philly. In his words, to read to you guys, he said, "I wouldn't go to Philly. I wouldn't go to a game if I was sitting in the owner's box. They are in your face. I don't think Philly fans are going to change the way they live their life." Oh, wait, that's Chris Carr on Eagle fans. Sorry. But the Packers fan said that he would not. Him and his fiance will never go back to an Eagles game ever again. If the Packers Eagles game happens, they'd much rather go to Lambeau Field. So, with that being said, it was very interesting that they found the Eagles fans like name, everything about him, in like a day. They found all the information because apparently Big Dom, this big security guy for the Eagles, found out all the information apparently. Now on the Packers side, like I agree with Mike, like the one thing that gets annoys me is the GoFundMe side. That I don't think he should have had. But what I found about the Eagles fan of like how he obviously lost his job, but the fact that he said that to his fiance when he has a wife of his own, he's a daughter, is a scumbag to me. Like that should not happen. That is ridiculous to see that, and that's a shame there. Like Philly fans, they do it, and I'm from outside the Philadelphia area. Now that's not all Philly fans. I can say that, but there's a bunch. There's the annoying fans. Like you always see those bunch of like a-holes at the game. You see a bunch of them, and it's just ridiculous. Just to see like this non-behavior that just means nonsense. Like I agree with Mike. Like they're trying to like gaslight you in the game, whether it's mostly at the Eagles games or Flyers games, Phillies, Sixers games. They try to gaslight every single time. They will try to get in your head every single time. And they try to bother you any way they possibly can. Like if you hear like when Philly fans do, like if you go to the Sixers game or the Flyers game or Phillies or Eagles game forever, and when they announce they lineup, they feel suck because it's part of the tradition. They are not afraid and they are rude and mean. That is part of the Philly fan base. And that's one of the reasons I didn't want to go to the Eagles game because I can not stand the Eagle fans that just do that. Now, my Eagle friends that I have my own, they are no way like that whatsoever. And I respect them for that. I'm happy with that. But when you go to that stadium, there's more of those people that are just annoying and rude every single time that I cannot stand. And I even got offered to go work the game too. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to watch. I want to work the whole game and watch my team play and not watch my team play. But secondly, I didn't want to deal with that atmosphere of like the annoying Eagle fans again, like so many. Now, of course, it's going to be like just a night, like as the Packers fan mentioned, like this night going like back and forth, just like the classic jokes, like boo, you guys suck and everything. But then it gets out of hand when he makes a comment about his fiance. That's when it crosses the line. Like there needs to be a line, in my opinion, where enough's enough. Like some things are allowed to be said, yes, but you cannot cross the line. Like there has to be a limit of what you can and cannot say. I feel like, especially for the Eagle fans, especially that fan too.
Two things I'm going to say. One, I totally agree. One, a little bit another red flag with what he did, right? He had this GoFundMe, right, saying that I'm going into the belly of the beast and all this stuff, right? Like he knew that it was going to be a big problem, and he said, I could take it, all this stuff. Like I'm not worried about people. But, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he went with his fiance, but he kind of agreed that he knew that people would give him a hard time.
Yeah.
And he brought his girlfriend, or sorry, fiance, with him, right? Like, if you're like this macho guy that's gonna, stand up to these guys, and also you're asking for money so you could kind of be harassed in that way, or maybe be whatever. Like, why you bring your girlfriend with you? Like, leave her home, right? If you're going to enjoy the game because you're a Packers fan and you want to go with your fiance because you guys have a great relationship, maybe she's a Packers fan, all that stuff, then why have the GoFundMe where you're talking about the reason why you should send me in there is because I'm going to deal with these other fans, right? So it's kind of hypocritical where, like, one side, in one hand, you're telling me send me in to deal with all the other fans, but I'm going to bring my fiance along, where I'm going to also open her up for the same harassment that I'm signing up for by you guys paying for my ticket. So that's what I didn't really love about it. But at the same time, the fact that this other guy, which again, the other guy had no idea that this guy was going to show up with the GoFundMe and everything, so none of this excuses what the guy did. The guy did is absolutely insane. And why is he speaking about a girl that probably had no idea, was never bothering him? Why not call him a problem for wearing a body cam and like trying to like whatever and like just focus on the guy? Like, why verbally attack a female when you're a guy when you could verbally attack the guy?
And the other thing was, Mike, like the brothers of that Eagles fan did nothing about it. They just let him say whatever he wanted. They didn't even bother to stop it.
Right.
Like they just let him go.
I'm all for fun, like back and forth. Like some people would give me a hard time when I was going at the Chicago game, like, oh, we scored there, but then I gave him a hard time the other way. Like that's part of like the jostling back and forth. That's part of the fun of going. But again, one, you can't be physical. Absolutely not physical. I mean, and now we got, that's just unethical. But two, you come on, you should be calling people names, right? You want to get jostled back and forth about the football game. That's fine. It's just fun, banter. But start calling her, what do you call her? I mean, I'm not going to say the words on stream. Although I will say, Jeremy used some bad words over there. So,
I'm just saying. I'm just going to say, like that's when it draws the line.
I'm all for it, Jeremy.
It draws the line. Like there's a line, and that dude was complete douche. He was
douche. The fact that he went for somebody went for a female, went and called her these names that were completely inappropriate.
Agreed.
He absolutely deserved to get doxxed. And honestly, the guy shouldn't have another job again. You can't look.
Agreed.
Yes,
Yeah.
he wasn't in a professional perspective, but whoever you are, I mean, you got to understand. In today's society, right? It's actually easier to find you on LinkedIn than it is find you anywhere else, right?
Mhm.
Like we all have our last names. If people don't like us, they could go on LinkedIn and say, like, look what this person's doing. So like we got to be careful here too, right? Like this can be a anything you do nowadays can be a reflection
Right back.
of your
Yeah.
career.
Wise words.
And look, if you curse on this podcast as a joke, right? Like, see, cursing isn't the problem. The problem is that he did it to somebody else who he never knew, made her feel uncomfortable to go to the game, could have caused a fight, a physical altercation.
He did mention in the interview, Mike, he was about to, and then he knew like if he was going to do the fight, all the Eagle fans surrounding just see it as like a Packers fan fighting Eagles fan. They don't know what the situation is, so he like de-escalated, and that's why he filmed to de-escalate the situation a little bit, which was smart on his part.
What'd you say? You said he should have fought him?
He should have fought him.
I don't think so. Look, I mean, if he touched her, absolutely, he should have fought him. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, look. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a word. I mean, I wouldn't be the first one to throw punches because
You got to get.
you're right. He's probably going to lose because he's the only Packers fan around.
Exactly.
You think he should have? What do you call it? Fought him, John?
I'll be honest. I didn't even watch the video.
Okay. I'm not going to say what he said.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what he said.
Yeah. But I mean, I think he was using the fact that she was a female and his fiance as a way to get to the Pasarowski guy. I don't think he really cared about her in particular.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to use her as leverage to really piss him off. I think that's what he was trying to do. And that's one, wrong. But two, like, I think it was more directed after him. I mean, look, to me, I wouldn't have started a fight because, I don't know, I think that's just a bad idea. But if he touched her, now that's a different story. Absolutely.
I wish we were talking about the Packers in a divisional round game right now.
Yeah, sorry. But it's an interesting conversation because it went viral and it's somebody from the Packers, what do you call it?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I went a little bit of a tangent there. But, hey, Pasarowski, if you're looking for talk, we'd love to have you on the show. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was
no
also
matter what.
interesting.
And an Eagles fan, if you want to come on the show too, we'll have you on too. We might not be, what do you call it?
No.
We might not be very friendly to you, but it'll be good.
No.
It'll be good content. It'll be good content.
He's not. No,
We'll make fun of him for not having a job. It definitely won't be a friendly atmosphere. I'll tell you that right now. But we still have you on to have some good content.
Okay.
Good show.
Exactly. I mean, the other thing I forgot to mention was there was rumors apparently that the Packers fans supposed to get Packers gear from the Eagles fan base. Apparently, that was something I heard from like the actual like organization was supposed.
Yeah, I thought it was the big Dom guy was going to send them Packers gear.
Yeah, but apparently in the interview they haven't heard a word or gotten a single email from the Eagles about that.
Yeah, this is a whole big they just want this to go away. This is a dumb story. I think John wants to go away too. We should move forward.
Exactly. Moving on.
Okay, so that's all I really have. And look, it's a disappointing way to end the season. I don't think it's a surprising way to end the season. But I think the team has everything in front of it.
Yeah.
It just needs to make some key decisions in some very key positions: quarterback, edge rusher, offensive line, receiver, and I think we'll be okay. But definitely is a scary position to be in. Give Jordan Love all that money and to have a down year. That's a scary position where, look, if Jordan Love doesn't pan out to be who we thought he was, this could be bad for this team. But I still I'm gung ho on Jordan Love. I think
time will tell. I'm excited for the draft. I'm excited for free agency. Disappointing, but not a crushing loss. I kind of miss the crushing losses because it means we are more of a contender. But I don't know. I think they could easily be a 12-13 win team and make a run next year. We'll see.
I agree. I mean, just to give it to Mike, of what we said to start this year to be positive. Here's the positive. I'll say this, Mike. Even though it was disappointing to end it the way that we did, we're supposed to be in a rebuild right now. We're not supposed to be like where we are today, like last year. We weren't supposed to be in the playoffs. We weren't supposed to beat the Cowboys. This year, we weren't supposed to be in the playoffs. Like, it's honestly, it sucks that we lost, but it's growing pains. We're growing as the team grows here with
Just hope we
Jordan
keep
Love.
growing.
We keep growing. We're gonna get better. The future is bright for us. We have a window now. Here, Mike, would you rather be stuck in the river and be in a garbage situation of the rebuild and have to rebuild for like the New York Jets or be the Chicago Bears?
Here's my thing, though. Last year, I agree. Last year was a year where we overachieved. We weren't supposed to be that good as the first year of Jordan Love. Problem is, this year, I think we took last year's success in the playoffs and said, okay, Jordan Love now deserves all this money. If we had this season last year, maybe we're on the fence about giving Jordan Love all this money, right? So I think they kind of overperformed last year until we felt confident to give Jordan Love all this money. Now he's taking a decent step back. I think he was hurt. I think there was different situations that occurred this year. And now we're starting to say, well, it wasn't the right move. I still think it probably was the right move, but you need to have it bounce back here next year. Like, I don't think we can really say that, we're playing with house money at this point because we gave Jordan Love this money.
No, we're not playing with. I mean, in that game for the Eagles, yes, we're playing with house money. But overall, this season, we were not playing with house money because this team had high expectations to take it to the next level, and unfortunately, we did not take it to the next level. So we have to wait and see what happens. Is going to be the big thing with that, and I don't think it's all. It's not all Jordan, in my opinion. You got to include Matt LaFleur. He's got to do a better job coaching. Happily, he did an amazing job. That's the one bright thing I can say with this team, and hopefully he stays. It's just LaFleur and Love got to do a bit better. LaFleur's got to do better coaching because he had great coaching, and then he went away with some of the play calls and didn't stick with the same tempo. And the one thing I do get annoyed with, like when Mike was bringing up about Matt LaFleur, kick the can with him a little, the one thing I do get annoyed with LaFleur is his time management. That is one big thing of game management-wise. That is ridiculous. Challenges, you got to do a bit better job, but like the managing the game was really annoying me of how he does it because we could have instantly won a couple more games. We could have won the Bears game easily. We could have won other simple games. But like I think that's a big thing is LaFleur's got to do a better job. Now, as we were discussing in our chat of like what is LaFleur better at, a locker room guy or is he X and O guy? John put it on his X to ask the fans about that. And what were the results, John, so far?
Let's take a look. Only 20 votes, but 85% X's and O's, 15% locker room.
Okay. That's my big thing with LaFleur. Is he's an X and O guy. I like that. But
I actually wanted to vote the other way, I'll be honest. I know I said
You're welcome to cast your vote.
Did I not?
I don't know. I can't see.
Well, I think the big thing with this team is accountability, confidence. Those are the two big things to me with this Packers team is you got to be confident. And obviously, like we saw Jordan, he didn't have confidence all the way in the season. That's a big thing. You got to have confidence in yourself. This team has got to take a better accountability and more self-discipline because this is one of the problems when you have a young team, you're not disciplined enough. This team has to be disciplined. You go look at the Lions. They are a disciplined football team. The Packers kept shooting themselves in the foot majority of these losses with the Vikings, the Lions, and the Eagles, and the Bears even. That was the most annoying thing.
All right, I think we've hit enough. We're almost on 100 minutes over here. But, look, good season, guys. My last thing will give everyone a second to say thing, but my next season is we'll see you in Green Bay for the draft, and we'll be here sooner rather than later. It'll be 2025 season, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, excited for the draft. I believe in Goot. I believe in LaFleur. I believe in Love. It's a hard schedule next year, but I think they can still win 11 games. And we'll be right back in the same situation. Wild card weekend, hoping they can do a bit better. We'll be here before you know it.
Exactly.
Any last words, Jeremy?
I would just like to end it off for usual here on this chat, and I also like to thank John for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, John. I know we went a little bit long here, but
No.
I think it was a good show. I think it was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Smooth.
All right, cool. Well, thanks guys for coming on. Hopefully, we'll get one with Jeff on. We'll have the a 4-box for the next episode.
We'll have the 3 J's and the 1 mic.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be the ugly duckling. All right, guys. Have a good night, and
Go Pack
thanks
Go.
everyone for watching. Go
Go
Pack
Pack
Go.
Smooth.
All right. See you guys.